Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dig into a study that could honestly be a game changer. We're talking about ending a 20-year stalemate in the fight against a really tough form of head and neck cancer.
So, for 2 long decades, if you were diagnosed with this specific type of head and neck cancer, you faced a pretty tough reality. The treatments, the survival rates, they just weren't getting any better. It was like they hit a wall.
So, that got researchers thinking. What if the key wasn't just about attacking the cancer from the outside? What if we could unlock the body's own defense system to finally break through this plateau?
Okay, so to really get why these new findings are such a big deal, let's first talk about the mountain researchers have been trying to climb for, well, more than a generation.
And, this isn't just us saying it. The actual study in the New England Journal of Medicine says it right at the beginning. They make it super clear just how desperate the need for a new idea was.
And this one number really tells the whole story. With the standard treatment they've been using since 2004, a patient's chance of surviving 5 years was less than 50%. I mean, that's a coin flip. That's what they were up against.
All right, so this is where things start to change. A potential solution finally comes into play. The whole new approach is built around a type of immunotherapy, specifically a drug called Pembroluzimab.
So what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, think of it like this. Some cancer cells are really sneaky. They can basically hit the brakes on our immune system's T cells, the body's security guards. What pembrolizumab does is it takes those brakes off. It lets the T cells see the cancer for what it is and go on the attack.
Now here's the really clever part. The big idea here is all about the timing. This isn't about throwing out the old treatments. Nope, it's about adding to them. They gave this immunotherapy before surgery to try and shrink the tumor, and then again after surgery to hunt down any cancer cells that might be left hanging around.
Okay, so that brings us to the actual clinical trial. It's called KEYNOTE 689, and it was designed to do one thing: put this new idea head-to-head with the standard treatment that's been used for years.
So here's how they did it. They took over 700 patients and split them into 2 groups. One group got the standard treatment, surgery and radiation. The other group got that exact same treatment, but plus the pembrolizumab, both before and after.
And what were they looking for? Well, the main goal, what they call the primary endpoint, was something called event-free survival. It's basically the gold standard for measuring success. It asks, how long can these patients live without their cancer coming back, getting worse, or, without dying from any cause?
So they followed these patients for a good while, a median of over 3 years. And when the first big chunk of data came back, the findings were not just promising, they were statistically significant. This was the real deal. And check this out. The results showed a huge difference. After 3 years, in the group that got the new immunotherapy, almost 58% of patients were alive and totally cancer-free. Compare that to the standard care group, just over 46%. That's a big gap.
Let's put that in real-world terms. That's more than an 11 percentage point jump. What does that mean? It means for every 100 people who get this new treatment, about 11 times more of them are alive and cancer-free 3 years later. That is a massive improvement.
So, with results this strong, the next question is obvious, right? Should this just be the new standard of care? Well, to answer that, we have to look at the whole picture, including any potential trade-offs.
Okay, so first, a really big safety question. Would giving this powerful drug before surgery mess things up? Would it cause complications? The data came back, and it was a huge relief. About 88% of patients in both groups got through their surgery just fine. So the new treatment didn't get in the way. But, and this is a big but, revving up the immune system like this isn't a free ride. There are risks. The trial showed a pretty big jump in what are called immune-related side effects. For example, hypothyroidism, that's an underactive thyroid, popped up in nearly a quarter of the patients getting the new treatment, compared to only about 5% in the other group. And more serious immune reactions? Those happened in 10% of the new group versus less than 1% in the standard care group. So it's a trade-off. And that's why, even with these side effects that doctors need to watch out for, these results are being called a major advance. There's a quote from the study itself that really puts it all in perspective. It highlights just how significant this is. We're talking about potentially the first big change in treatment in 2 decades.
So what's the takeaway? This study leaves us with a really powerful and honestly optimistic question. Of course, we need to keep watching these patients to see the long-term results, but the evidence we have so far, it really suggests we might finally be turning a corner.
entering a new and much more hopeful chapter for people fighting this incredibly challenging disease.